Is this kind of, when you see a total 38.5, is that almost an auto bet to the under, especially with what we saw with the weather in Kansas City and a lower scoring game there? That makes me want to lean towards the under.
Yeah, I would probably lean towards the under. I mean, because again, if it's a situation where Buffalo is scoring, I don't think I think it's just going to cause more problems for Pittsburgh to try and like keep up. So then, instead of like a 17-6 game or a 20-6 game, it probably looks more like a 24-27-3 game, which all still kind of fall under. I don't think Buffalo is going to get in the 30s in this game. I don't think they'll have to. Like, I don't think the game script is going to kind of, I don't think the Steelers offense will produce enough urgency for Buffalo to continue to score in the game. So, I think the team total under 14.5, like, I don't want to lay $140 on a team total. If it moves down to, maybe 14, might look at it if there's like better odds, minus 110 or whatnot. But that's kind of how I would approach it. But full game, probably under's the look, I would think.
The Bills team total sitting around 23.5, and the over is juiced minus 120 right now. So yeah, the lines are kind of telling you this is going to be a pretty lopsided game. Just, do we get to that 10, or is Buffalo or the Steelers able to keep it, a little bit closer? No Gabe Davis or Taylor Rapp for Buffalo. I mean, Gabe Davis not being in, is that a huge, I don't know, a deterrent for the Bills? Like, is that a big blow to not have Davis in? He really hasn't performed all that well over the last couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, I don't think it's really like anything that would move the needle to me as far as like, deciding like, do I want to lay it with Buffalo or not? Would they be better off if they had him? Sure, but we've seen, Shakir, we've seen some other guys kind of step up there, and make plays for Buffalo. And really, like, this offense is going to go as far as Josh Allen takes it. So, if he's on his game, he's going to get the ball to players in space, whether it's Diggs, whether it's Shakir, whether whoever it is over the middle. So I wouldn't let that really, stand in the way from me. Gabe Davis, nice, fine player, but not really a needle mover.
Especially like the secondary, for lack of a better term, sucks, right? I mean, one of the worst secondaries in the NFL, giving up a ton of passing yards. So I think I'm going to have to target some of the Bucs receivers today. I mean, Mike Evans, always someone that I like to play on, but Chris Godwin, I know he was a little banged up. He practiced on Saturday, but his number is at like 54.5 receiving yards. I think you have to go over that. He's hit this mark in 4 of his last 5 games, and the Eagles have allowed the second most receiving yards to opposing wide receivers this year. 85 to Wan'Dale Robinson in week 18, 82 to Greg Dortch in week 17, 90 to Darius Slayton in week 16. Like, it's just not great for the Eagles. So I'm going to stay away from the side here, even though I think Tampa Bay is, unfortunately, Mark, hate to say this to you, live to win this game outright, but targeting the Bucs receivers is going to be how I kind of approach this game, just prop-wise.
I like that look because, one of the changes the Eagles made on defense going into this game is that they, moved Avonte Maddox, who's their, slot nickel guy, moved him to safety to try and get some help, at the safety position. So, they're not going to have Maddox there, manning the slot. So I think that, Godwin could definitely, take advantage of that. So I think it's a pretty solid look.
Baker Mayfield resurrected his career, I guess, within the last year and in Tampa Bay this past season. I had kind of written Baker off, never really thought he was all that great of a quarterback or could be someone who would lead his team to a deep, deep playoff run. I'm still not sure that he's going to be able to do it with Tampa Bay, but he's certainly given himself a longer shelf life in the NBA, especially as a starter with how he's played this season. Like, what do you think the biggest difference from the Baker we've seen in previous years to the Baker that we're seeing this year, positioning the Bucs in the playoffs right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're seeing him mature a little bit. Obviously, he's had a good year. I think it also helps when you're throwing to guys like Mike Evans, right? You know what I mean? I mean, he's got some weapons there in Tampa Bay, and I think that really has helped him out. And I think that he's a guy that, is probably, a starter in the league. He's proven that. Is he a guy that can lead you to a Super Bowl? Probably not, but he's a starter who can have success. And, I think that he's, probably like in that, bottom half of the league as far as starters, but you put the right weapons around him and, you never know. He could, pull out a couple wins here in the playoffs.
Especially with Todd Bowles as your head coach. I mean, what he's done is kind of impressive. Speaking of head coaches, do the Eagles think about making a move at the head coaching position if they don't win tonight? There's been some talk of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great question, and you're hearing those rumblings, and usually when there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I mean? And I think that the biggest problem with Nick Sirianni and the job that he's done this year, the team is spiraling out of control, but even more so, you're hearing like Javon Hargrave came out and said that the big difference between like San Francisco and Philadelphia is how hard they work in practice now. In San Francisco, like that doesn't bode well for the head coach. Like that's the last thing you want to hear.
Who is your Monday MVP?
It's got to be Rashee Rice, I think. I mean, pony up SMU. You love to see it. Listen, it's one thing to have a big game in the playoffs, but when you steal the show on the big stage, make Taylor Swift's boyfriend look inconsequential right in front of her face, you got to give it to Rashee Rice. Who knows? Maybe we see, Rashee Rice, Taylor Swift hit it off in the future. I loved him developing, being that number one guy for Patrick Mahomes. So to me, it's got to be Rashee Rice.
Mark is going with the Taylor Swift's just after the best player on the field. She doesn't even like Kelsey. Just whoever is the star of the Chiefs is who Taylor's going after. I'm so
I heard they did a
torn
jersey swap after the game.
Yeah. That actually be kind of awesome. I'm actually really, really torn between all of these. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions solely because it's been 32 years since they won a playoff game, and just the narrative of Jared Goff beating his old team that kind of threw him to the side and said, you know what, you're not good enough to win us a Super Bowl here. We're moving on from you. We're bringing in Matthew Stafford. And Jared Goff, just very poised yesterday, brings the Lions a home playoff win for the first time in 23 years, beats his old squad, kind of gets to shove it in their face. And Amon-Ra St. Brown playing pretty well throughout all of that. So I think I have to go with the Lions. But I could make a case for Stroud and Aaron Jones too, David. I know you're laughing at me right now because I hate this game and I don't like anyone to feel bad. But I think the Lions are my pick.